Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
It is time again. Welcome in here on a Wednesday. It's already the middle of the week. These Brewers games got me all kinds of confused as far as what day is what day right now. Them playing, because, they've had so many days off in between games that now all of a sudden you play back-to-back games. You're like, wait, what day is this again? It's Wednesday. Welcome in. Thanks for tuning in. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Charlie Usen over there. Steve Sparky Fifer here. And lots to get to. Jerry Augustine, former Brewers pitcher, is going to join us here coming up this hour. I think it's going to be somewhere in the area of 2:20 to 2:30. He has a engagement that he has to take care of here at 2, but he thinks he'll be out by 2:20 or 2:30. So hoping to have him on. Former Brewers pitcher, former analyst on Wisconsin on the FanDuel Sports Network Brewers broadcast. So we'll talk to Jerry about his thoughts on the Brewers. Lots to get to as far as this Brewers team. Charlie sounds of the day. Interesting clip or comments from Priest Holmes, the former Chiefs running back, and Neil Smith, the former Chiefs defensive end, talking about the Green Bay Packers on the Holmes Stretch podcast. So if you have not heard that yet, definitely want to stay tuned to that. Great article by Matt Schneidman in The Athletic talking about the Packers eye test wise don't look like a Super Bowl contender, but he says yes, they still are. Even though they don't pass the eye test, probably still that Super Bowl contender. So we'll get into that coming up at 2:40. Priest Holmes also had thoughts on that too. Now, we have to start off first with what happened last night at American Family Field. That has to be the first thing we start with. I don't see how you don't start with this if you're doing a sports talk show in the state of Wisconsin today. And things started off really, really well. It's a beautiful thing there that Brian Anderson gets to call that play, right? Because that was not FanDuel Sports Network Wisconsin. That was TBS, BA with that call of the Jackson Churio home run to lead things off. Very happy that we got going there. Lots of stats on Churio you may or may not have heard. At 21 years and 217 days, Jackson Churio, second youngest player in the postseason with a leadoff home run, postseason history. Second youngest. Who's the youngest? Jackson Churio last year at 20 years, 205 days. So there you go. Jackson Churio, the only player with a postseason leadoff homer under the age of 22. I'd say that's pretty good for Jackson Churio as well. So that's a nice little fun stat for Jackson Churio. Most postseason home runs before turning 22. Juan Soto 5. There's Jackson Churio at 4, along with Miguel Cabrera, Bryce Harper, Andrew Jones, Mickey Mantle. Those are all Hall of Famers, folks. Those are all Hall of Famers, and he is in that company as we sit here today as far as postseason home runs go.
I mean, we've called him the Brewers' best player before this season.
Yep.
I mean, he's that good. And if you don't believe it, look at what he's doing in the postseason already at the age of 22. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And the future is so bright for not only him, but for this team.
Oh, don't be careful.
You see something like that.
Be careful.
Why, Sparky?
Be careful. Don't do this. Don't do this. We'll get to this coming back at 4:20. My tweet last night that got everybody mad at me. Again, you just pull the tweet out and you read it, you'd be like, why would anybody be mad at you for tweeting that out? It was a pretty positive tweet. Yet, 40-some thousand views later, people are still tweeting at me about my singular tweet. And I talked about the future being bright in the tweet, not about Churio, about something else. And I got absolutely lit up like a Christmas tree for it. At Sparky Radio, if you want to find me on Twitter and see what I'm talking about. But we will get into that at 4:20. But be careful about talking about the future right now, because Brewers fans, I don't think, want to hear about the future at this point. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to keep it positive here, right here at 2 o'clock. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. What makes you think the Brewers can still win this series? Positive answers only. Don't come at me with negative crap. I only want positive answers. There are some of you I know that are listening to me and Charlie right now, and you are saying, man, I'm not going to be negative. I'm going to be positive. I still think they can come back and win this. I saw some of you on social media, way more negative than positive. But there are some that still believe this team can come back and win this series. Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. Dial it up. Text us. Whichever way you want to go about it. Pat Murphy talking about the crowd last night at American Family Field. If we're being honest, that's reason number one of why you should believe that this Brewers team can come back and still win this series, despite losing both games at home, screwing up your home field advantage that you worked all season to get. Despite that, knowing now the next 3 games are in LA, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That Thursday game tomorrow, 5 o'clock. First pitch. So 4 o'clock leadoff show. So you'll get Wisconsin Sports Daily served up by Wendy's with me and Charlie for 2 hours tomorrow. And then Tommy Wirtz will hop in here from 4 until 5 and do the leadoff show, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. So 3 games straight in LA. So despite that, his point of them being resilient, them never giving up in game situations, and you don't have to look back that far. Look back to game 1. They were being dominated for 8 innings. And they dang near came back and won that game in the bottom of the 9th, man. Multiple opportunities for guys to get hits that couldn't come through, but they were right there. That resiliency that they've shown all season long, that never give up. That 14-game winning streak, there was resiliency in that 14-game winning streak. They weren't run-ruling teams across the board like you would in Little League, like, run rule 21-2 after 4 or something. Nothing like that. They weren't doing that. There were games where they had to come running back at the end to win. Walk-off winners, second most in Major League Baseball. Never give up attitude. So if you're looking for the first reason, there, I gave you the first reason. Now, what else do you have? What else do you have to be positive about to tell me and Charlie and everybody listening why this Brewers team can still come back and win? Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250. We'll get to the calls. We'll get to the tweets, all that fun stuff. Get to the text messages. But I think that's answer number 1. Charlie, what would be your first of, I'm sure, many reasons of why you think this team can come back and win the series?
I think this team can come back and win the series because your 2 best players in the series, maybe your 3 best players, have been 3 of the youngest players on your team. Mm-hmm. There's still a lot of potential for a lot of star players to break out at some point over the course of the next 2, hopefully more games for this Milwaukee Brewers team. And I think a guy like Christian Yelich eventually needs to get going here, right? Like that's what we have to keep telling ourselves. A William Contreras, I think we told ourselves that the entire first half of the season, and then he got going, and he got going big time. Same with Bryce Terang. I think you can have hope that these guys are starting to figure it out eventually. Freddie Peralta had a pretty good performance last night. I think that's something that, as a leader of this team, you can help rely on that to help push them forward here after a rest day where they can reset themselves to say, you know what, now it's my time to step up if I'm Christian Yelich, or it's my time to step up if I'm William Contreras. You have to hope that one of those star players does what they're supposed to do in this series.
So I agree with you on some of these guys just haven't played well to this point, and that they're due, I guess you could say. At one point last night, Adam McKelvey of Brewers.com, MLB.com, candy connoisseur. If you ever have candy questions of how to eat candy correctly, how to melt candy, Adam McKelvey's your guy. I tweeted out last night, Christian Yelich is hitless in his last 16 at-bats with 10 groundouts and 5 strikeouts. This was during the game. You can't. I texted Tommy Words. I was like, man, you think he's hurt? You think Yelich might be hurt? Where his back is acting up, and because it's the postseason, he's just playing through it and dealing with it right now? Because you can't convince me that Jake Bauers in the outfield is a better option than Christian Yelich in the outfield. You could have had Jake Bauers be the DH and let the Yelich play the outfield. So when Yelich isn't in the outfield and he's still scuffling at the plate, I question how healthy is his back, or is there something else bothering him that he's not talking about? Because he's not missing a playoff game, and he's going to try and help this team no matter what might be going on to get over the hump. I got no insight as far as I know he's hurt. I don't know if he is or not. I'm just looking for a reason of what happened, because that, to me, would make perfectly good sense as to why he's not playing in the outfield at all and why he's scuffling at the plate, Charlie.
I think there's potential there. At the same time, I think with Christian Yelich, a guy who isn't exactly the greatest defender in left field either, I think, yeah, Jake Bauers, you don't want him out there. He's pretty much a liability out there. Christian Yelich is a little better than a liability. Still is not great. And I think that when he's already struggling at the plate, that putting that pressure of putting him in the outfield when you haven't really played him in the outfield the entire season so far would be a little much in a series like this, and I think wouldn't help his struggles at the plate anymore. So yeah, there's a world where he may be injured, but I think the other side of this is trying not to overthink it from Pat Murphy's side of things, but then he goes and overthinks it by putting Jake Bauers into left field. I know Jake Bauers has been hot, and you want to find a way to get him into this lineup, but putting him into the outfield when there's other players who have been hot consistently throughout the season, not Jake Bauers, should probably get that type of run out there. I think a lot of the times here, this Brewers team is just overthinking in the playoffs right now. And that's the other benefit that I see moving forward here, is that they can just dial it back a little bit, hopefully, and just kind of go back to what they were doing in the regular season, that Pat Murphy sees that. I think when he was talking in his press conference afterwards, he's starting to realize that too a little bit, that they just don't look like the same team we've been seeing for the past 6 months.
262 using the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and text line like you can do as well, asking you what makes you think the Brewers can still win this series. Positive answers I'm looking for. 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Tile guy Justin. They were the best road team in the league. If anyone can come back on the road, they can. I'm down. I'm down for it. That's a great point. It's a great point to add on to all this. They were the best road team. Okay, this is good. I like this. I'm all about this. Another one, 262, says, we're going to L.A. Okay, good. Happy for you. If you are going to L.A. to watch the team, if that's what you mean, that you're going, you're the good luck charm, you're going to go root them on in L.A., that sounds good. That sounds fun. I'm not sure how warm it is in L.A. Would that be considered it's been relatively warm here, right? I don't know.
It's been kind of cold this week, Sparky.
There are
been a little chilly.
There are a lot of people that go around, want to see every stadium in sports and go do all of that, right? There are certain cities. I'm out. No interest in going to LA ever in my life. I'm totally fine not going to LA.
I feel like I got to go at least once.
I feel like
I've been to New York once.
I've been to New York once. The traffic. I don't think I'd want to deal with the traffic. I think I'm pretty much out on that. Let's go to the phones. Trell, north side of Milwaukee. You're up next. Nicolay Law Fan Talk text line. All right, Trell, give me some positives here. How can the Brewers still win this series?
Oh, well, how you doing, Sparky? Well,
good.
The first way they can win a series is the best team in the league. I mean, so I would say this. I said that was a must-win last night.
Yep.
They didn't get it done. The series is not over, though. It's only halfway over. The Dodgers still have to win 2 games. So as simple as this. The Brewers have actually been in an offensive funk since the Cubs series. They after that second game, maybe, they went into an offensive funk in that Cubs series, and they tied it on the first couple games of this series. So collectively, I'm saying it's been a number of players, not just 1 or 2. It's been a number of players throughout that lineup who's been on an offensive funk. So I say baseball averages suggest that they're going to, get up out of that funk. So that's one of the reasons why. They're going to get up out of that offensive funk. The second thing is, listen, we're going to 3 games to the Dodgers. We got to win a series. As simple as that. I mean, I know you're going to take 1 game at a time, but simple as that, put in their heads, We got to go to LA to win a series. We're playing 3 games in LA, and we got to win 2 out of the 3. That would not win us the series, but it will put us in a position to come back home where we'll start the first 2 games over again because we're probably going to see, well, we might see Blake Snell in game 5 or whatever. But that's my last point. Yes, he pitched great. Him and the guy, Sakati, whatever his name is, they pitched great. 2 aces, two great performances. But it's not that great when you see a team the second time. They figure some things out about you. And I'm gonna hold on to that as my last point, that I think they're not going to be able to pitch as great as they did the second time around. I could be wrong, but I'm just going off. I don't think that's going to happen. So
okay, so let's talk about the next couple of pitchers, because Charlie Houston and I were talking about this earlier. Thanks for the call, Trell. You and I were talking about this. So these next 2 pitchers are Ohtani, Tyler Glasnow. In whatever order they end up going with, it doesn't really matter at this point. Now, if I told you the Dodgers going to give you Tyler Glasnow for next year, where is he slotted into this rotation?
Into the Brewers rotation?
For next year.
1
over Peralta.
Yeah.
If I told you get Ohtani into your rotation, where's he slotted in the rotation?
I don't know if he slides into 1 just because you may have to take an extra rest day with him sometimes just because he's batting, so maybe 2.
So I already know about the 2 we just saw, right? Those 2 that we just saw, they're going to be 1. Yamamoto, we know he is obviously 1 as well. So these next 2, however, what are the common traits of these next 2 that the last 2 necessarily got away with not having to do?
These guys are fastball pitchers. They're going to try to hit you with more velocity more often, especially Shohei Ohtani. Glasnow, I think, has a little bit wider of a pitch repertoire, but still relies on that fastball a little heavier. After watching these first 2 games, though, they may try to switch that up a little bit, but I think that could work in the benefit of the Brewers, too. If Ohtani and Glasnow are trying to force more movement with their pitches, which they can do, I think that also leads to more mistakes potentially happening with these 2 guys.
That's a positive.
If they're putting fastballs in the middle of the zone and the Brewers are swinging as early in the counts as we've seen them swing as early in the counts in these first 2 games, I mean, that's a big deal for him.
I think that's a big positive. Back to the Nicolay Law talk and text line 414-677-1250. This is from Ron Rome. The only positives we have are great bullpen and excellent defense. I don't think that's enough to be in the 10% that wins when they're down 0-2. All right, so you gave me 2 positives and then get backhanded me on the way out there to tell me you still don't think it's good enough. This is my thing. This isn't having to do anything with this question, okay? What's the record for number of games pitched in one postseason by a pitcher? Because I swear to God, Aaron Ashby has got to be closing at this point, man. Thank God there was not a wild card series, because they are going to pitch that dude till his arm falls off in the postseason. And I understand you got him under contract long-term and all of this stuff. I could not believe. When they got Ashby up last night, I was like, are you serious? We're doing this again? Now, you are about to go play 3 games in a row. Surely Ashby is not going to pitch Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in this series if the series goes 5 games, right? Surely he's not pitching all 3 of these games. That dude needs a break. You've got these other guys you put on this roster. Clearly, I would think you trust them somewhat. Let some of these other guys go. Ashby's doing the best he can, but you can clearly see he's not as sharp as he was at other points of the year, Charlie.
No, not even close. For innings pitched, Madison Bumgarner has the record with 52.2.
But that's a starter.
That is a starter.
But I'm saying not innings in every game. How many games over a postseason? That's what I want to know what the record is. Nicolay Law, Fan Talk, and text line. Brewers can, this is from the 414. Brewers can win if they go back to the Brewers of the regular season. In order to go back to the Brewers of the regular season, the offensive approach must change. Right? You have to go back to not swinging for the fences. You have to go back to when you get on base, pushing the limit to get the extra bases. You have to go back to getting that big hit when the other team makes a mistake. The Dodgers made multiple mistakes, and they couldn't make them pay for it in that inning. Multiple, they couldn't make them pay. It was one after another. Couldn't deliver. The offensive approach does not appear to be the same as it was. They're chasing after more bad pitches, and it really feels like the whole, you have to hit for power in the postseason has gotten into their heads the first 2 games of this series. And we'll get into more of why that may be coming up at 3:00. But that is something about the Brewers in the regular season. They have to get back to that offensive approach like they were doing for the rest of the season.
All right. So Mariano Rivera has 14 games played in a postseason. That's tied with Paul Ossenmacher in 1997. I don't know who that is, but
14. That's wonderful. And what do we have here? He's pitched in 5 of 6 so far, I think. They'd have to get to the World Series, and you'd have to have this series go 7 and probably the next series somewhere in that area to have a crack at it. I don't know, but this is, to me, it's absolutely crazy. I'll give you another one here. That's I view as kind of a positive, kind of, sort of. I saved a lot of stuff last night on Twitter. Lowest starters, this is from Sarah Langs. Lowest starters ERA in first 8 games of a postseason. The Dodgers in 25, 1.54, 52 and 2/3, right? So some of these other teams, 2012 Tigers, 0.96, 56 and a third. The 72 A's, 1.33 in 54 innings pitched. 81 Dodgers, 1.44, 62 and a third in 81. 95 Cleveland, 1.46, 55 and 2/3. Do you know who the number 1 team is with the lowest starter ERA in the first 8 games of a postseason?
I do know because you told me. But.
The 2018 Milwaukee Brewers, number 1 with an ERA that year of 0.68. Do you want to hear the notable difference between them and everybody else on this list? Their innings pitched for their starters in the first 8 games in 2018 is half. 26 and a third innings only in the first 8 games. Quick math says they averaged just over 3 innings a start back in 2018. Only 3 innings. That's it. That's nothing. And that team obviously did not finish at the end of the day, right? And now here we sit this year, and you only have one guy. That's it. You've got Peralta. That's all you've got. So another positive, if we're looking for another positive, hey, man, Mizorowski, go 6, right? Quintana, vet, go 6. That's really something we have not seen. Peralta, he pitched 5 last night. I said, okay, 5 innings, 2 runs, good enough, right? Now let's get the bats going. He comes walking out there for the 6th. I'm on my couch. I'm going, I hope this is a good idea. And he almost got out of it until Muncy came up. But then it went from good enough to not good enough now, because now it's 3, you're through 6. You didn't even get through 6. They had to go get a reliever. And now you're looking at 3 going, can they catch 3? They had 1 and hadn't done anything since Churiel for the most part.
I mean, that's the thing right now is, yeah, you can ask for Jose Quintana to go 6 or Freddie Peralta to go 6, try to go 1 more inning than he did yesterday. That's all cool. But when the opposing pitchers are going 8 and 9, I mean, what does going 6 do then? You have to get to this Dodgers rotation at some point in this series in order to win a game.
Yes.
And that goes back to the offense. I mean, right now, you look at that 2018 team, their offense, they had a 244 batting average, a 319 on base, and a 398 slugging during the 2018 postseason. You ready to hear this year's numbers?
But again, if you look at we did that 18 lineup, and this lineup, I mean, go back and forth and compare them and say who's better. But at the end of the day, the offense, again, is the issue for the Brewers in the postseason.
They're batting 206 this postseason so far with a 280
This was
on
supposed
base
to be a positive segment.
and a 353 slugging percentage.
I'm done with you. I'm going back to the Nick Waylock fan talk and text line. From the, let's see here, the 864. How about that? Good to hear you again, Sparky, after the latest local radio stuff. Didn't even know you had rebuilt the station where you're at. Congrats. David, now in Kiowa, I think that's how you say it, South Carolina.
I was going to say South Carolina. I looked it up.
Yeah, man. Whole new lineup statewide on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network now, which is a beautiful thing. It's all good stuff. I got another one from the 414. I was there last night and told my son we are not playing Brewers baseball. I agree. Offensively, they're not. pitching wise, they're doing fine. I got no issues with the Brewers pitchers right now at this point. None. I have no issues. They are doing their job. When this thing is said and done, if they don't come back and win this, I'm not pointing fingers at Chris Hook and going, hey, man, your guys didn't do your job. Can't point the finger at the Brewers hitting coaches because they got 100 of them. So you don't even know who to point at over there. But from the pitching coach's standpoint, he's done his job. Another one here from the 815. Every damn time I've counted them out and went to bed, they came back. Hey, 815, just skip watching the game. Just don't watch it. So tomorrow they play at 5 o'clock. Don't watch the game. Record the game. Go out, have a nice meal with no TVs around with the game on, right? And then if they do come back and win, you can watch it when the game will be done by 8 o'clock. You then can have your friends be like, hey, nobody text me what's going on. When the game's over, tell me if they win or lose. Don't tell me the score, though, right? And then if they text you like, hey, man, they won. Cool, I'm going to watch it now. Boop. Turn it on, watch it off the DVR. 815, I'm telling you, you're part of this. Don't watch that game tomorrow, 815. I beg you. Any one of y'all, superstitions, man, you got lucky underwear, lucky socks, shirt, whatever. I don't care what it is. Put it on tomorrow afternoon. We got to have all the superstitions all rolling together in this thing.
That
tomorrow.
means you're actually not allowed to be positive about
all of this stuff.
Sparky. The Sparky jinx works in mysterious ways. So if you're going to be happy about him, it may hurt him a little bit.
Did not predict a victory of any sort. I am asking for positive things about this team, how they can still come back and win. That's what I want. Another one coming in on the Nicolay Law Fan talking text line 414-677-1250. Positive. We beat them 6 games in a row this year. We only need 3. Well, no, you need 4. We need 4. We need 4 wins. You need 4 of the next 5 to win this series. That's what you're asking. This Brewers team has to win 4 of the next 5. 3 of those straight up in LA. They don't have to win all 3 in LA. Let's clarify something, okay? They only need 2 in LA. That's it. And then game 6 is back here Monday. Game 7 is Tuesday. Then you're back home, and hopefully you play better than you did the first time you were here. Hopefully.
You would hope so. If we head over to the fan Facebook, people are very not positive over on Facebook. Every comment is saying, I'm not throwing in the towel, but it's going to be a tough fight to come back. Nothing makes me think they can still win this. There's nothing that can make me think they can win this series.
See, I don't want those. So you people just stay right
crazy,
there.
Not one positive.
I'm avoiding all of that stuff. We're going to stay positive.
Nolte on Twitter says a catastrophic earthquake, and only the Dodgers dugout falls into the sinkhole.
Just see, again, not funny. Jerry Augustine, former Brewers pitcher, former Brewers analyst. He joins us coming up next. He's done with his commitment, so we'll reach out and talk to him straight ahead. Don't forget, you can win big this October at Potawatomi. Play the Bird Bash game show for $50,000 in cash. Just play with your Potawatomi rewards card for entries. Prize drawing on Thursdays. Plus, your play also earns you a shot at the $300,000 December season finale. It's a Bird Bash only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. For more details, visit paysbig.com/Bird Bash. Jerry Augustine, straight ahead. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Charlie Houston producing today's show, as always. Joining us now, former Brewers pitcher. He is Jerry Augustine, joining us on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. What's going on, Jerry? How are you?
I'm doing well. Looking forward to Game 3. I think it's going to be a big game. I think it's an important game for the Brewers, but I'm really confident that this ball club is going to come out, play the way they've always played baseball all season long, one day at a time, and put out a good game, play real well.
I like that you're positive, because the first segment of the show we did was, what makes you think the Brewers can still win this series? Now, the one thing Murphy said, Pat Murphy said last night after the game was, man, this team has been resilient all year, right? They've always shown the willingness to fight back. They're second in walk-off wins across Major League Baseball throughout the season as well. What is the one or two things that you look at and go, okay, I know their bats have been silent for 2 games, and maybe it doesn't look the same as it has looked the rest of the year, but what changes in LA in your mind?
Well, I don't know if there's going to be changes, Sparky, as much as understanding. And you have to understand that they faced a guy in Blake Snell that really threw the ball very well. He invented the new book called How to Use a Changeup in a Baseball Game. He threw 38 changeups, was very, very good with it. Sometimes threw 3 and 4 in a row to guys. Really changed how you make adjustments in the game, and he just did an outstanding job and changed his way he usually pitches. Then Yakamoto yesterday, he was at the beginning of the game after the Cheerio hit the home run. I thought he was going to struggle a little bit, and he got away with a few pitches that really looked like he could go either way. He found it. He found that split finger. He found the curveball. He's got so many pitches, and all of a sudden, about the 3rd or 4th inning, he got dialed in. I think the Brewers are going to learn the situation when you have guys who can command the strike zone. You have to make more adjustments, and I think they're going to see that, especially facing a guy like Tyler Glasnow.
Okay, so let's talk about that too. Charlie Houston brought this up earlier, and his point was, okay, the last 2 guys maybe weren't as reliant on the fastball as what you may see now with Glasnow and Shohei Ohtani, and how this should benefit the Milwaukee Brewers for these next couple of games. And then on top of that, you put them on the road, and again, I'm with all due respect to LA, I don't view them as a hostile environment necessarily, but you maybe put them away from that home fan base. How does all of that work playing in LA? Because that ball does not travel as well in LA as it does, when we're at American Family Field.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. This team has been a team that, when the beginning of the season, when you watch this ball club, they didn't hit a lot of home runs the first half of the season. They were a team of manufacturing runs. How did they do that? They were patient at the plate. They made adjustments. They got on base. They ran the base as well, put the ball in play. They scored as many runs as anybody with 2 outs in the game of baseball. They had more infield hits than anybody in the game of baseball. So I think that's the kind of the mantra that they have to use coming into the game. They have to be patient. And when you get out there, you're going to get more of a typical fastball power guy that you're going to get out of Glasnow. That's where the paces come in. The pitcher will dictate the adjustment that you have to make. And the adjustments that you make are going to be different than you had in a pitcher like Blake Snell, who can throw a breakable fastball for strike or really dominated with his changeup, or a guy like Yakamoto who throws any one of 5 pitches, and all of a sudden he got all his pitches over the plate. That's hard to adjust, but you're going to see a guy in Glasnow where he uses that power fastball. He likes to keep the fastball down, curveball for strike, and then he'll elevate the fastball. So they understand that, and they can make some adjustments there.
We have our Nicolay Law Fan Talk and text line, and we get text messages in all the time. This one is from Dan in Blaine, Minnesota. The 763 says, Murph overthinking has nothing to do with Yelich going 0 for 17. Sit him for game 3 and pinch hit if the situation warrants. There are a lot of people mad at Christian Yelich. I said earlier in the show, and I have no inside information, I wonder whether or not maybe that back is potentially flaring up a little bit here, and he's playing through it and not saying anything, because to play Bauers in the outfield over Christian Yelich in order to get Bauers' bat into the lineup, to me, I thought was curious, because I thought Yelich probably would have been a better option there in the outfield. And then with Yelich's struggles to go along with it, I just wonder if he's healthy, or unless you're seeing something that is different than what we saw earlier in the year from him.
You know, back a couple years ago when Christian was struggling, trying to find himself back, and he had the issues with the back and the things like that, what they did is they really powered him on the inside part of play. They really put the ball in on his chest or in on the upper hat above that waistline. It's hard to pitch to lay off, especially a left-hand hitter. And then what they would do is instead of throwing the ball down and in, they would throw the ball down and away. And I think that's what you're seeing a lot of them doing. They're thinking that there's several guys on this team that they can't let hurt. The Dodgers are looking at Chiriot, Terang, Contreras, and Yelich, and they got to pitch him tough. And they have been. I thought they've been pitching Christian very, very tough by not giving in, but throwing the ball down and in where he can go down and get the bat and he drive the ball or hit the ball up and away. All year long, you saw him hit the ball away, hit for power, but now you don't see it as much. They'll go up out of strike zone away, but they'll go down in the strike zone and down in the strike zone away. And that's been a little bit different than he's seen all year long. So it's going to be interesting with Tyler Glass now, who now really works on the fastball down, likes to elevate. It'll be interesting to see how Christian does some changes or adjustments at the plate. I'm interested to watch. I think he's going to have a good game tomorrow.
Talking with former Brewers pitcher Jerry Augustine here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. What about the idea that this is a very young baseball team that hasn't been this deep in the postseason yet, and maybe all of that plays into what's happening through the first couple of games?
You know, that's a possibility. But you know what? This team has been so resilient. And every time you talk to them, they all say the same thing. It's very consistent, the way they play, the way they would go about their job. It's one day at a time. That mantra of going one day at a time, they're going to move from one game to the next. They're not going to worry about games. They're just going to go out and play as hard as they can, and they're going to move on from there. And I think that's one thing we'll see about this team, the resiliency. I think tomorrow is really a big day because they're seeing a more traditional style pitcher, not a guy who changes it with a lot of change-ups, really made some great adjustments to Snell. Yakamoto, who threw everything in the kitchen sink for a strike and really made purpose pitches at strike one, and that was big in the ball game. They're going to see more of a traditional style pitcher. It's going to be interesting. I think they're going to be patient at the plate. They're going to make last out those strikes, and I think they're going to put the ball in play. And when they get on base, they've got to put the ball in play and manufacture runs.
I've got one more for you. How do you use Mizorowski going forward if it's you?
It's going to be interesting. You know, a lot of people say he's going to start tomorrow, and that could be. I mean, when he went out there last time, Chris Hook and Henderson made a little bit of adjustment. He threw from a little bit lower arm angle and was able to command the strike zone. He wasn't rushed, wasn't flying off and throwing the ball and getting behind in the counts. Threw the ball very well. He can always make it a tough on an opposing team. He can be a difference maker. I really think though that what they might go with a guy, a veteran who can make a lot of adjustments again with like Quintana. Dodgers struggle against left-hand hitters at times. Quintana can make adjustments. He's been there. He's done that. He's pitched against the Dodgers. He understands what it is to pitch in LA, and I think he might be the good choice. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. But I think Quintana could really do a good job against the Dodgers.
There he is, Jerry Augustine, former Brewers pitcher, joining us. Thank you so much for coming on, Jerry, and hopefully we'll be talking about a Brewers victory here the next couple of games.
I'm excited about tomorrow. I think the Brewers are going to play really well, and I think that they get off to a good start tomorrow. It's going to make a big difference in this whole series.
Can't wait to see what happens. Jerry, thank you so much. There he is, Jerry Augustine, on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Coming up next, we're not going to have a ton of time here necessarily, but I want to get into the Matthew Schneidman article talking about the Packers. Eye test-wise, probably don't look like a Super Bowl team right now, but you go inside, it appears they still are a Super Bowl contender, so we'll get to that straight ahead. Also, don't forget, mornings can start to feel the same, so if you're looking for a fresh wake-up call, look no further than Wendy's Breakfast. Try a breakfast Baconator with fresh cracked eggs and crispy bacon, a grilled sausage breakfast burrito, or maybe even a honey buddy. Don't even think about sleeping on Wendy's seasoned potatoes and English muffin sandwiches. Doesn't matter what you go for. Gonna change your life. Okay, well, it'll at least freshen up your morning. Ready for a fresh wake-up call? It's got to be Wendy's. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios. See Sparky, Fifer here. Charlie using there, other side of the glass. We have a few minutes left here. Charlie, I wanted to get your thoughts on something before we get into this Packer conversation quickly. And don't forget, Sports Talk on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network is presented by Paramount Plus. Count on Sundays all season long with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. The Gold Glove finalists have come out, awards. They will announce the winners in November. Bryce Terang, Sal Frelick, finalists again. Terang won the Platinum Award last year. Do we think that one of those two Brewer players could win the Platinum Award again this year? I think they both get the Gold Glove. But my question is, do they either one of them line up to possibly get the Platinum Award this year like Terang did last year?
I don't know. There's a shot. I think with Bryce Terang, what we saw from him defensively this season, I don't think really, honestly, was up to par to what we saw last season. I think it was good enough to get a Gold Glove, but it didn't seem like he had the same kind of highlight plays that we were consistently seeing. Now, Sal Frelick, on the other hand, I think did have a few more of those highlight plays. I think he was out there, especially later on in the season when more people were watching the Milwaukee Brewers on a national stage. He was out there performing and doing his job and making highlight plays left and right, more so than a Bryce Terang. I think that shows out in that type of voting.
See, I'm curious to find out whether or not it really is about highlight plays. I've always thought it's about the consistency. It's about making good plays, obviously, but I also think it's about the bat. And Terang's bat is definitely better than it was last year. And you can argue that, okay, he doesn't have the highlight plays like he did last year because Joey Ortiz has plenty of highlight plays. I didn't see Joey Ortiz on that list. So Bryce Terang with his bat gets him in this position. If Joey Ortiz was hitting 280 or 285, is Joey Ortiz possibly on this list?
Maybe, but yes. Brian Hayes is on this list. And he's not exactly an offensive superstar over there.
I don't know what his numbers are.
Victor Scott is on this list, and he's not exactly
I would have to look up Brian Hayes' numbers versus Joey Ortiz numbers. But I'm just saying, for years back in the day, J.J. Hardy was so vocal about this back in the day, the old Brewer shortstop, saying, this is supposed to be a fielding award, and I'm getting penalized because of my offensive numbers. And it's ridiculous that the bat should not count when you start having these conversations about these Gold Glove awards. So that's why I say, if the offensive numbers count, which I think J.J. Hardy was right back then, and I think people now today that vote for the Gold Glove awards probably factor that in as well, that, Terang, I think, might have a shot at maybe getting the Platinum. And Frelick is better offensively this year, too, than he was last year as well, Charlie. But I think Terang's power numbers that took that next step, thanks to 10 home runs in August, really puts himself in a position to have that run.
I think so. But again, if he starts getting attention for other awards, though, if he's in a Silver Slugger conversation, if he's in there for
Silver Slugger is interesting. Yeah.
I think something else like that, maybe that takes away from his attention being the Platinum Glove. Maybe they do give it to somebody else like a Sal Frelick who may not get that attention elsewhere.
I think that's fair. And you start thinking about Silver Slugger awards and who's in that conversation. Yelich, did he do enough for the DH spot to be in the Silver Slugger conversation compared to everybody else? I feel like Terang did at second base because there's not a ton necessarily of those big bats anymore of that position. So I feel like he's put himself in a position. Ortiz, obviously not. First base, Vaughn wasn't there long enough to put himself in that conversation because he wasn't here all year. So that's out. Third base, absolutely not with Caleb Durbin. Contreras, I don't think he did enough at catcher. I don't think. But then again, who are the great offensive catchers right now in the National League? Okay, and where do we go from there?
About it. Drake Baldwin, rookie.
Rookie of the year, possibly.
That's the next best one, too.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. It's just, it'll be fun to see how these postseason awards go. And then you bring in Pat Murphy, potentially winning back-to-back managers of the year. And I understand Brewer fans are mad. Oh, we're going to lose in the playoffs again. Screw that. But that is a regular season award from my knowledge to this whole thing with baseball. So when you have the best record in baseball, when nobody thought you were going to have the best record in baseball, I don't see how Pat Murphy doesn't win manager of the year again. Right?
I can see that too. Also, Brian Hayes and Joey Ortiz, almost identical seasons. Brian Hayes has a 2.4 D WAR, though.
that's the difference. Yeah. Charlie using over there. See Sparky Fifer here. Coming up on the other side, we didn't get to the Packers Super Bowl contender story. We'll try and catch up with that tomorrow. Want to get back to the Brewers. How much do you think pressure is played into the Brewers losing the first 2 games of this series? That's up next.